Sandra Bland, Eric Garner, Philandro Castile, Alton Sterling, Freddie Blue, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. Someone's mother, father, sister or brother, aunt or uncle. These, among thousands of others, were taken away from us as a result of police brutality. Their voices were silenced when the world needed to hear them most. In times like these, we need community and togetherness. People that strive for change to end these harmful policies and regulations that hinder equality amongst Black and brown bodies. This is Black Lives Matter, a mindset more than an association of the millions of people that have already adopted it, where they fight for change in the justice system to lift those voices that have perished. And learning who BLM is, what they stand for, and the ways that they have already implemented policy change, you will understand that Black Lives Matter is influential for change not only in America, but for the world. Ask yourself, what is BLM? It was founded in 2013 in the response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murder. Simply put, it is a global organization whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy, build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on Black communities, and end police brutality. It focuses on police reform and accountability from corporations and companies with racially discriminatory policies. The website states that by combating and countering acts of violence, creating a space for Black imagination and innovation, and centering Black joy, we are winning in improvements for our lives. Since the protests and numerous meetings with state and local officials, laws and policies have been formulated to begin a new era. Implementing things like banning no-knock warrants, chokeholds, requiring mandatory body cameras on police officers, dismantling qualified immunity so that the officers that commit these crimes can be tried in court. One of the big issues was to defund these departments and allocate some of those funds to community programs. An article from The Hill states that Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti announced that he will seek to identify $100 million to $150 million in cuts from the LAPD, and that those funds will funnel into different areas such as jobs, healthcare, and education. Even outside of Black lives, BLM took the fight to the border and called on elected officials and ICE directors to investigate the excessive force and abuse ICE uses against immigrants and to dismantle the oppressive systems and policies that they have in place. Opposing arguments of the movement are people that don't support Black Lives Matter. They conclude that the organization is divisive and puts Black lives over others. This is more famously known as the All Lives Matter movement. They perpetuate the idea that all that comes from the movement is riots and political propaganda. This argument can simply be debunked though. It has been clear since BLM's start that the phrase Black Lives Matter means that they matter as well or also. Being that in the eyes of racial injustice, they haven't been mattering simply. And they need to start mattering. Only 7% of Black Lives Matter's protests have become violent, and that was agitated by some other outside force, not a part of the protests.
Me, actually, are people who are posting All Lives Matter. For me, that is a very special kind of silence. It's a very painful kind of silence because it removes our voice. It doesn't allow us to express our very specific pain, and it's worse because they're purporting to be advocates.
When we're saying Black Lives Matter and we're saying, Black lives are valued and they're important and Black voices are important, to then hear, well, all lives matter, it just seems like someone who is looking for a distraction or a way to derail the conversation.
At first, when that first became like a hashtag, it was like, so you really don't get it? Like, how is that your response to me saying Black Lives Matter?
Like, no one would ever go to a breast cancer walk and criticize them for talking about breast cancer. You wouldn't walk up to someone who has experienced breast cancer, survived it, or someone who's lost somebody from breast cancer and say, how dare you talk about breast cancer? Why not talk about colon cancer? How dare you exclude other cancers? You would never do that.
If your wife asks you, like, am I pretty? And you're like, all people are pretty. I think everyone's beautiful. You know, do you love me? I love everyone. It's probably not going to go over well in your family, right? Your wife is probably going to have a problem with that because what she wants in that moment is specificity.
It is clear that this is just a counter argument and is not backed by any social or conceptual change like Black Lives Matter. So with all this new information, what can you do with it? How can you become a part of a movement like this? Protest, donate, and vote. Join your local BLM protests to support the movement on the grounds. Donate to Black Lives Matter organizations and NAACP chapters to help fund programs to enact change. Most importantly, vote. Vote for officials that will work for policies that align with your beliefs. Martin Luther King said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, meaning that injustice doesn't have to personally affect you to not fight for your brothers and sisters. It begins with us. We can be the change that we wish to see. Sincerely signed, a proud Black woman.